Oh, wow. Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Karoline Leavitt, just wrapped up a disastrous press conference in the Oval Office. She began by attacking the CNN reporter who first published the information from the Pentagon and the CENTCOM that was leaked that Donald Trump's strikes on Iran were not as successful as the Trump regime claimed. Watch what just went down. Let's play this clip.
I will add Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. Also in 2020, this same reporter, Natasha Bertrand, wrote that a top intel agency ruled out the man-made lab leak theory of the coronavirus origins. Again, the president was right about that. This reporter wrote a lie from the intelligence community to seek a narrative she wanted to prove. And guess what? We now know that's the truth. Also, in 2024, Bertrand pushed the suckers and losers hoax. She also pushed the fine people hoax, which was taking the president's words purposely out of context. And then last October, and I believe this is notable, Natasha Bertrand published an article in Politico from the intelligence agency. She said that John Ratcliffe was speaking without any evidence when he said Iran was attempting to undermine President Trump's presidential campaign. And then we, of course, found out that was absolutely true. In fact, the Biden administration declassed an intel report which said they had high confidence that Iran had done exactly what Ratcliffe alleged. They did run an influence campaign to hurt President Trump's candidacy. In fact, we know the Iranians tried to take President...
By the way, it's not only the damage assessment by the Pentagon as well as the CENTCOM, which shows that the strikes on Iran were not as successful as the Trump regime claimed. European intelligence also shows that the facilities in Iran were damaged but not destroyed, that Iran would be able to build a nuclear weapon soon if it wanted to, and that Iran was able to move the uranium before the strikes took place. Without a sense of any self-awareness right here, Karoline Leavitt says that because Iran is a totalitarian regime, they're of course going to try to say things to save face. Well, that kind of seems like what you're doing, Karoline. Play this clip.
Look, we saw the Ayatollah's video, and when you have a totalitarian regime, you have to save face. I think any common sense, open-minded person knows the truth about the precision strikes on Saturday night. They were wildly successful, and it's what led to the ceasefire agreement between Israel.
Next, Karoline Leavitt starts attacking former President Obama and Biden based on their ability to make a deal with Iran that stopped Iran's nuclear program. And notice what she says here. She goes that the Obama and Biden administration sent pallets of cash to Iran, which is false, but here, play this clip.
The Iranian regime was weeks away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon that would threaten the entire world before President Trump took this decisive action on Saturday night to obliterate their nuclear capabilities. The contrast in leadership could not be more clear. Barack Obama and Joe Biden sent pallets of cash, American taxpayer dollars, in a failed attempt to buy the Iranian regime's compliance with a weak and ineffective deal. President Trump sent a fleet of American warplanes to destroy Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. The United States and the entire world are safer because of this president's decisiveness. Despite agenda-driven leaks by the fake news media, aimed at undermining this incredible accomplishment achieved by President Trump and our brave fighter pilots, there is broad consensus emerging already that Iran's nuclear capabilities were indeed destroyed.
So one of the things that we're also learning right now is that the Trump regime is reportedly discussing the possibility of providing Iran with access of as much as $30 billion to build up a civilian energy producing nuclear program, as well as easing sanctions on Iran and free up billions of dollars of restricted Iranian funds. So what were you attacking Obama for? And don't you all see how what Trump's doing benefits Iran, Russia, and China at the expense of the United States? Because Russia gets all of those Shahed drones from Iran. China gets its oil from Iran. Iran's still able to build up its nuclear weapons, and there's a ceasefire allowing it to do so. So what exactly was achieved here? What happened? Anyway, Karoline Leavitt over here then says, More lies. There was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike. Play this clip.
Up to the attack on Saturday, which I will add was one of the most secretive and successful operations in United States history. I think many of you in this room would agree with that because none of you in this room knew about the strike on Saturday until it took place. So we were watching closely, and there was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike.
From any of the sites.
Correct.
And then one more thing, Karoline.
You're just lying. I mean, we have the reports now from Pentagon and CENTCOM. Like, y'all could lie all you want. European officials. The overwhelming intelligence out there is that you are lying. Next up, we have Karoline Leavitt saying that there's no plans to restore security clearances to former Secretary of State Pompeo, Milley, or Bolton. Here, play this clip.
In January, President Trump revoked security details for several former administrations, including Mike Pompeo, Mark Milley, and John Bolton. Given the heightened tensions with Iran right now, is he considering restoring those security details?
That's not under consideration right now. Fran.
Then Karoline Leavitt attacks Zohran Mamdani. Here, play this clip.
Desk. So it was a great meeting, and Republicans are very unified. And we also talked about the mayoral race in New York City and how the victory of the Democratic primary candidate really shows how far left and unhinged the Democrat Party has become. And Republicans truly are on the right side of every issue in this country. We are on the side of no men in women's sports, on the side of low taxes, secure borders. So that was the topic of discussion, and the unity was strong and the camaraderie was high, and I know everyone looks forward to being here at the White House for the bill signing.
Karoline Leavitt seems to indicate that if the final disastrous budget bill includes cuts to Medicaid, that indeed Trump would sign it. Let's play it.
Well, there's conversations on the Hill right now about the Medicaid cuts. I'm curious if the final bill that the president's been talking about comes to him and it has Medicaid cuts in it, will he sign it, or would he rather just Congress do away with those cuts?
I think our friends in both the Senate and the House know exactly where the president stands on Medicaid. He wants to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, and they are working to do that in the Senate right now. Jennifer, follow up on that.
All right. So picture this. I'm on my way out the door, trying to look halfway respectable for a meeting, and boom. Marlo, you've heard Marlo, my neighbor's cat, sprawled across the hallway like he pays rent. Cute little furball, right? Wrong. Because 5 minutes later, I'm sneezing like I just walked through a field of ragweed in a wind tunnel. I mean, I don't even own a cat, and I'm still dealing with cat allergens. The whole thing is just totally unreal. This episode of Political Beatdown is brought to you by Pacgen. Now, if you've got a cat, or in my case, a neighbor's cat who thinks he's mine, you don't have to surrender your sinuses to the feline overlords. You see, almost 20% of people suffer from cat allergens, and 3 in 4, they're not thrilled with the so-called solutions that are out there. That's where Pacgen steps in. Pacgen's cat allergen neutralizing spray, it's like sending a tactical team into your living room. And it doesn't mess with your immune system. It goes straight after the actual allergens in your home, and it breaks them down with no pills, no shots, no voodoo, just science. You see, it turns out that the problem isn't the fur. It's the saliva. Cats groom like it's their job. And FeLD1, that's the protein behind most cat allergens. It's all over their adorable faces. Now, Pacgen's patent-pending whisker block protein, it binds and it neutralizes these FeLD1. No harsh chemicals, no side effects. I literally sprayed some around last week before my buddy who dropped by. And he's one of those that I'll die if I breathe near a cat type. And for literally the first time, no red eyes, no wheezing, just him wondering if Marlo had moved out of the building. It's effective, safe, and made for people who love their pets or their neighbor's pets, but not the sneezing fits. Got a dog? Dust allergies? Pacgen's got sprays for that too. I love that they're not trying to trick your immune system. They're just handling the source of the problem. Smart, simple, and safe for both people and pets. Your pets aren't just pets. They're family, right? So get the relief you need with Pacgen. Head right now to Pacgen.com/beat for an extra 25% off your order and an exclusive gift for our listeners at checkout. That's Pacgen.com/beat AGEN.com/beat for an extra 25% off your order and an exclusive gift. One last time, Packagin, PACAGEN.com/beat for an extra 25% off and a gift auto apply to checkout. Because listen, if I can live peacefully with Marlo, you can live peacefully with your pets too.
One of the things we're also learning as well is that the White House is now saying that the July 9th deadline, where the Trump regime claimed all 90 trade deals, 90 deals in 90 days. They said that date is not important. That's not a real date anymore. As I just noted, European intelligence suggests that Iran's stockpile of uranium enriched close to weapon grade levels was not concentrated in Fordo at the time of last week's attack, and that the Trump strikes were a failure. Preliminary intelligence assessments provided to European governments indicate that Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpile remains largely intact following the U.S. strikes on its main nuclear sites. Two officials have said. I want to share this with you as well. A Canadian national has died in ICE custody. Someone named Johnny Noviello, 49-year-old citizen of Canada in the custody of U.S. Immigration and Customs, was pronounced deceased by the Miami Fire Rescue Department June 23rd at 1:36 p.m. The cause of death is under investigation. This citizen was in detention in ICE and was being treated the way we know that ICE has been treating people. And just horrible the way the Americans are dealing with Canadians. Horrific, horrific stuff. While Karoline Leavitt's disastrous press conference was taking place as well, you had RFK Jr. going on Fox talking about how it's likely that Americans will get more cavities now because they're going to get rid of fluoride in water. And so it's just part of the balance that Americans have to deal with. Let me show you this. Let's play this clip.
With the issue of fluoride, Secretary, what has been the response from dentists in America who may be concerned that some children in lower incomes in particular don't get those regular dental preventative type situations where they can go in and get their teeth more indemnified and treated against cavities?
Well, people will still get indemnified for it to the extent that they're already indemnified. But, you know, it is an issue. It's a balance. You're going to see probably slightly more cavities, although in Europe, where they banned fluoride, they did not see an uptick in cavities. The issue is parents need to decide because the science is very clear on fluoride.
Meanwhile, as I mentioned in my video earlier today, Donald Trump keeps posting shirts or posting memes, and he's selling merch now, a daddy collection. He's literally selling merch called the daddy merch because Trump's saying he's everybody's daddy and he wants to be called daddy now. So he's selling daddy outfits and he goes, I'm your daddy, I'm your daddy. And then he posts daddy's home. He's been posting a lot of memes like daddy's home. I mean, just look at him, right? This is so bizarre. And over here, this is probably one of the most shameful moments in the history of the Defense Department. The press conference this morning where Pete Hegseth started attacking a Fox host, a Fox correspondent, because she simply asked him, you sure that the uranium wasn't moved? Because we're hearing all the uranium was removed. And watch Hegseth attack the Fox reporter. Let's play it.
I've seen that suggests that we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations.
That's not the question, though. It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
I report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence.
And there's one other moment here in this press conference where Hegseth says that the strikes on Iran was the greatest military operation in American history. Like World War II, what about everything else? But this is how these idiots talk. Here, play this clip.
Let me read the bottom line here. President Trump directed the most complex and secretive military operation in history.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.meidastouch.com. All 100% USA union made.